You're listening to Agile Ideas, the podcast, hosted by Fatima Abuchi. For anyone listening out there not having a good day, please know there is help out there. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Agile Ideas. I'm Fatima, CEO at AMO, Mental Health Ambassador, and your host. On today's episode, we have Yasmina Khalifi, a French telecom engineer and project manager with over 20 years of experience in the telecom industry. Yasmina holds 3 PMI certifications and is a passionate volunteer and thought leader in this project management space. She's a regular blogger on projectmanagement.com, a correspondent for PM World Journal, and has contributed to Harvard Business Review early career. She also speaks in webinars and conferences, including the PMO Global Summit. Yasmina is also the author of How to Become a Culturally Aware Project Manager and also the co-author of The Volunteering Journey to Project Leadership, written by herself and Meiti Mata Sivera. She speaks 6 languages, and you can connect with her on her website at yasminakhalifi.com. Please join me in welcoming Yasmina. Yasmina, welcome to the show.
Fatima, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining and being so flexible. I wanted to start by asking you about the 6 languages you speak. Tell me which languages that is. That's phenomenal.
Well, thank you for asking, Fatima. It's not the same level in all languages, in fact,
Okay.
if I am honest. So I began to learn German at school, then English, and then Spanish. So German, English, Spanish is quite, I have to say, fluent levels. And I can speak Italian, intermediate, and Japanese, intermediate.
Wow.
And I am learning Arabic, which is very, very hard. So it's a good challenge.
That's incredible. Even to be a beginner in 2 languages, I speak 2.5 languages, but to speak that many, well done. That's incredible. So we're not here to talk about that, but I just wanted to get that out there because I'm very impressed by that. So you and I came into knowing each other through the PMO leader community, which you're very a big supporter of and have done a lot of great things in that community. So tell me a little bit about your background. Tell us, you've been in this project space for 20 years and you're a telecom engineer. Tell us about your career. Where did it start and how you got to where you are today?
That's a great question. So I began as a telecom engineer in a big telecommunication firm. And after, the natural path was to become a project manager. So I became a project manager by accident because a manager proposed to me to say, what do you want to become a project manager? I hesitated, and after I said, yes, why not? In fact, and that's how it began, like perhaps many of your listeners and people who are watching this video. And after I moved on different projects, always in international environment, which I love very much. And based on that, that's how it evolved. And I'm still working in the same company for more than 20 years.
Wow.
So,
That's very impressive to have that loyalty and commitment to that one organization. That's great. What have you seen change over the years in project management through all your experience working not only in the company you're in, but just through your passing of colleagues and trends? And what have you seen in either project or PMO space over the last 20 years?
well, the pace of projects, I think it is more and more, it's quicker and quicker, sorry. And there are also a lot of turnover of people I notice in the teams. People I work with different stakeholders, someone comes and after a few months leaves. So you have to build again the relationship, the trust with that person. And of course, it is a lot of virtual projects, but I have to say, I have been working in international environments, and from the beginning, I worked a lot virtually, but now it is more intense. So that is what has changed. And of course, there is artificial intelligence that is now coming. We don't use it yet a lot in the projects because of different things linked to security, confidentiality, but it's beginning in the company it begins to be more important, in fact.
I think you're right. I think there's going to be some significant wave, like the agile wave that we've all passed. I'm really keen to jump into what is core to our conversation today, and that is around volunteering. So I want you to take us back to where the idea came from. You and your colleague Mayte. Is it I pronounced that correctly? Mayte.
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
Oh, so you and Mayte decided that you were going to write a book about volunteering. So tell me about how the concept of volunteering and the book came about, because I don't think we talk enough about the importance of volunteering. And I think that what you both have achieved in this space in writing the book is going to help a lot of people. So tell me through what inspired you to write the book and what it's about and why volunteering is so important.
Yes, thank you, Fatima. And you are also a passionate volunteer. And thank you for being part of the book as a great testimony. So I love this question because for me, it's a bit incredible. I met Maite through a project management community in 2021. And then I wanted Maite to be in my podcast. So she was a guest in my podcast because I loved her way of being, her passion, her international background. And we talked together and we made a webinar about volunteering. And there were a lot of questions. And then, based on that, we made after a second webinar in Spanish. And based on that, we said, why not writing a book? Because both of us, Maite and I, come from countries where volunteering is not so important. Probably in Australia, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, volunteering is part of the curriculum at university. In our case, Maite from Spain, me from France, it is not part of the background, of the academic background at our times. Perhaps it has changed now. We thought we need to share our knowledge and how much we have learned through volunteering. It was a big discovery for us and also a big joy, in fact, to volunteer and to meet new people because all began through a community of project management with volunteers, so it's how it began. And for me, I think it's really incredible because for both of us and for all people in the project management communities, it is obvious to make collaborations, to build projects, to deliver together. But when I talk to my colleagues and many people, they are very surprised. They said, writing a book with someone you have never met, because I never met face-to-face Maite when I told you in 2021, 2022, and we had the book contract in January 2023. And I didn't meet her until November, it was October 2023 in Atlanta, in a project management summit. So, it's how it all began.
And so you said that you got the idea because of lots of questions coming through the webinars. What were the most common questions that was being asked about volunteering?
Well, I think people wanted to know how to begin with. Also, they were surprised of all you can learn through volunteering because we talked about leadership skills, networking, and also experimenting with new things. And people, they said, oh, we did not know. And also, that was surprising for us. Some people were also astonished that it could be done virtually. And I know it's obvious, but that's correct that many years ago, when you talked about volunteering, many things happened on site. In fact, through events. And that's very important to have events, of course. But for example, for me, it was also a discovery because I was never interested in volunteering. Never, Fatima. If you had told me really volunteer, I would have thought, no, why volunteering, Fatima? It's a lot of work, And of
Yeah.
course, I have to go on site to meet
Yeah.
people. And I live outside of Paris, and many things happen in Paris. And for me, it was impossible. In the evening, many things happen in the evening, also, etc. So, and I also discovered I could deliver projects, meet people, collaborate online, and really having fun. So I think that was also discovery for people. And that's why, and the last question was also where to find volunteer opportunities. That was the main questions.
It's interesting because you're right. I like yourself have volunteered many years. As long as I can remember. I think that volunteering provides such a incredible learning opportunity. I usually say to people when they are, particularly in our industry of project management, they're looking for opportunities and in getting to get jobs, and then during that process, as part of them trying to find work, they may not be able to find it as quickly. So I say go and volunteer, get work experience in the company that you want to work at, which is what I did when I started my career 20 years ago. And then that leads to possibly leads to opportunities in those companies. So I think it's a great way. And I honestly didn't when you and I'm looking for my book. It's the book's over here. When I heard that you both were writing this book, I think I wasn't sure what you were going to include because I wasn't sure how much topics and how many questions you can cover. But if I have a look through, some of the things that really stood out for me is like identifying volunteering goals that align to your career goals. That was one of the ones that really stood out for me because I think that volunteering, you can volunteer almost in any industry, in any capacity, remote, in person, etc. But it would make sense to align what volunteering to a cause or maybe a role that you're looking for. Did you find through the research speaking to people that most of the volunteering started in a place that they were passionate about?
Yes, of course, volunteering starts with passion. I'd like to get to something also you very important you said, Fatima, about volunteering when you do not have work.
Mm.
Um, it's also a way to network. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you volunteer in project management communities,
Mm-hmm.
you may work with Julia. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, perhaps you collaborate very well with her. And Julia will say, yes, we are looking for a new project manager in the company. And it's how it happened, in fact, for some people. And I think it's a way also to find a job. And as you said, we can also volunteer in companies to help. So in terms of volunteering goals, I also want to say that when we say that with Maite, it doesn't mean you have to volunteer to find a job. You have to volunteer to align with your career goals.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what we meant because some people will say, okay, it's going to be very transactional, this kind of volunteering. So people are not at all. For me, we can do both.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, of course, to have fun and also to try to learn new skills or to improve your skills by volunteering. So that is what we want to say. And career goals, in fact, for different people we talked about, I think sometimes we are not aware of
Mm-hmm.
doing it. Sometimes it by instinct.
Mm-hmm.
We think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's do it. That's why we wanted also with Maite to formalize this kind of things to try to help people get clarity. Why? Because I noticed, as I told you, not like you, I am a new volunteer, for since 2018
Mm-hmm.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
only. And when I began, I did not know what to look for or what to do. I was really completely lost. And when you began to volunteer also, you got new opportunities. People come to you, oh, can you help with this? Can you help with this? And I said, yes, why not? Why not? Why not? And at the end, at that point, it was too much. There were some activities I didn't really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we try by formalizing a bit career goals to try to find to help having some clarities and also to be able also to choose the volunteer roles to really enjoy them.
I think that's really important. And I know you talk like through a lot of case studies. And I know
Yes.
that it's a really good example actually where the reason we came to know each other is because you volunteered at the PMO leader. And the only reason I ended up agreeing to be in the book is because I knew you because you volunteered in the PMO
True.
leader. So it's just a good example of how much of a small world it is. I want to touch on
Yes.
something that you mentioned. So one of the things we talked about, you said leadership and networking, of course, are very important. But I think the experimentation side of volunteering, sometimes you'll do things like you just described that you don't enjoy, and that's fine. But how will you know if you don't try? So I find like one of the things that I recommended to people when they ask about how they get project management experience, I say go and find an opportunity either in the company that you're working in, put your hand up. I remember, for example, I put my hand up to be the chief fire warden of our building. So when the fire alarms got off, I was coordinating all those people. And then other instances where I'm volunteering to, assist one of the staff members in the warehouse with, packing goods or whatever it might be, just to get experience. And then you use that experience on your resume, and then that resume continues to build up, and then that's how you get more opportunities. What's been your best volunteering experience?
I fully agree with what you said. For me, really, the discovery, another one, was experimenting with new things.
Mm,
Fatima. I always give this example because, once more, it is incredible. I began to volunteer in a social media team at
hmm
PMI United Arab Emirates chapter, and I volunteered to create visuals. And if you know me, I'm not an artist. I cannot draw at all. In fact, at school, I was very bad, really very bad at it. And I said, why not? It seems to be interesting. As you said, why not trying? And
mm,
I really enjoyed it. And I improved myself. I gained confidence.
mm,
And for example, last week at work, in my workplace, we had a project management day. And we had to make a big visual, in fact, at the entrance of the
hmm
building.
hmm
And I design it. In fact, of
Oh,
course, I'm not designing a lot. I'm using a software,
hmm
a big software, very well known. But still, I was very proud of myself. So volunteering for me, it is a way to experiment with new things. And the advantage is, of course, it doesn't mean you try 1 week and you say, no, not interesting. I go. It's another risk also sometimes when you are in the volunteering space. You have to commit also because if you say, yes, 1 week, I'm not sorry, no interest. I have to leave now.
mm,
For me, it's so the issue is you work in teams. And if you do not commit, then other members of the team are going to be overloaded. But it can
hmm
happen, of course. A lot of things can happen in life. I don't say you
hmm
have to commit absolutely with your blood to do
hmm
it. That's not it.
hmm
But it's a way when you volunteer to have the opportunity to try things you don't have the opportunity to try at work. At work, if I said, okay, I'd like to design the communication team. Okay, I'm happy. I'd like to design the display, your next visual, they are going to laugh because it's not a part of my expertise. There are people who are expert in that field.
Yes.
Also, as you said, talking another things I did through volunteering and I dared to do was
hmm
talking in webinars,
mm,
talking in at events. It's something at work. We have not a lot of opportunities to do these kind of things. Webinars, we have more than before. But talking at big events, not really,
hmm
because it's really, I'm not a top manager, and it's really top managers who
hmm
speak there. So this is a kind of experiences you can get. And as you said, it's something you can add up to your resume and
Yes.
also to for your personal confidence.
Yes.
Because as a project leader, we are supposed to communicate well. We are supposed to present. Public speaking, when you say that,
hmm
people will say, no, public speaking is not really my business. I'm a
hmm
technical project manager. But at a certain point, you have to present in front of a board,
Yes.
and you have also to present well. So there are a lot of skills like this that, from my point of view, I have learned through volunteering.
It's really important. One thing to call out that relates to when people volunteer, it's of course they're giving up their time and their energy and all of that. But one thing I want everyone listening to know is just because you're a volunteer, it doesn't mean you cut corners. It means that you do what you're going to say, you say what you're going to do what you're going to say, because your reputation is still on the line. So I think it's just really important for those that are listening that maybe are interested in volunteering. Like you said, don't just give up after a week. If you commit to do something, give it your time and attention and energy, because just because you're not getting paid for it, if you're committing to a team or a company or a cause, you have to put the time and energy and dedication into it, because otherwise it's still your reputation on the line. So I think that's important to call
I
out,
agree.
because I think people can be dipping their toes in a little bit and really not committing. But I wanted to touch on something very important you just said. the skills that you learn, the confidence that you build. You're absolutely right. I agree with that 100%. I wanted to be a better speaker, so I volunteered with our biggest mental health not-for-profit, Beyond Blue, here in Australia, very well recognized. And so I volunteered to speak with them, and over time, I think 50, 60, 70 events later, I got better than when I started. And so, very similar to you, like getting the confidence, I think with this new era of ways of working and the environment we're in and the AI and the tech and all, the soft skills that project managers need to have is not replaceable by AI. So that's where we should focus.
Great.
So yeah, I agree with you completely, completely agree with you.
I agree. And also something you said very important, Fatima, is how we can learn as project professionals.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I'm an engineer, so it was a lot of theory, a lot of books, and I learned at the time we didn't have a lot of internet, mobile devices, etc. And so the knowledge came from the professors.
Mm.
And what I also discovered through volunteering is how I can learn by practicing,
Mm-hmm.
by
Mm-hmm.
trying,
Yes.
by making mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and by being encouraged by the team. Because when I said I design visuals, I was not alone to do it. I
Mm.
got very good feedback from the team. I
Yeah.
got encouragements.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also changed my way on how we can learn nowadays. And I think we can learn through practicing, through
Yes.
communities, and by talking with people, by listening to your podcast. There are a lot of ways of learning. It's not
Mm.
only books, still very important.
Mm-hmm.
Academics, universities, very important.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to be very open to different ways of learning, from my point of view.
Yeah, I think the practical nature of putting, your hands to something is so much different than just talking about it. I agree. I think a lot of training and educational things out there that are based on theory need to also, so even with our university partnership. So we've got an intern from Denmark starting soon. So she's going to be coming to Australia and working with us because she's learned all the theory of project management, but now it's the time for her to actually put it into practice. So she can do that through an internship, which is equivalent to, like some volunteering. And so doing that means she's going to learn those skills which are essential for her future career. Without that, she'll probably get there, but it will just take longer. So I think that that's really important for people to, to really emphasize on learning. I wanted to ask about you have a My Volunteering canvas. What is it and how can listeners use it in their own journey?
Yes, exactly. Maite and I designed a framework, My Volunteering Canvas. The aim of this framework is to help volunteers to find their opportunities they want to be. It's also a kind of, we recommend to use it one canvas by role. So
Mm-hmm.
that you can design, you can also, from the beginning, at the beginning, when you look for a volunteer role, you have to know your values, to be clear on your values, your passion, your purpose, and also to be clear what skills you want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
how do you want to network, and if you want to experiment with new things. And we have also some questions around the criteria for the volunteer role. And it gets back to what we said. When you volunteer, I think it's when we said commitment, it's also good to be honest from the start. I think from the criteria, I can say to you, Fatima, Fatima, I'd like to volunteer in your organization, but I will have 6 months. After
Mm-hmm.
6 months, I will not be available anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's fine to say that because
Mm-hmm.
at least you can propose, you can propose me, give me a volunteer role that fits with that commitment. And then we agree together, is the role also hybrid, face to face, or only virtual? It's something you have to be clear from the beginning. So this kind of canvas, you have some questions and the volunteers can answer and get clarity. And when you are in your volunteer journey,
Mm-hmm.
we encourage people feeling also taking the my volunteering canvas regularly and also check what they learned, kind of learnings. We have a last part, learnings.
Mm.
And I think it's important to capitalize and to think because, as we said, the world is very quick. And
Yeah.
we are learning a lot of things without being aware of it. And it's hard to say it, but we need to take some minutes during the week to say, what did I learn this week at work and in all the other activities I am doing outside of work? And it is also a way to capitalize on the different things because, it comes also from personal experiences. I am not very good at interviews. And I remember in the few years ago when I wanted to change positions, how I presented myself. The interviewer, the guy, let's call it Mike, asked me, so what did you do in that project? Well, I did small things. I coordinated the testers, the development software teams. Really, I didn't prepare well the interviews because I didn't capitalize on all the stories, all the learnings I had. Of course, you can say just prepare properly your interviews. But I think doing it every week, it is also a way to remember what you learned. And after, at a certain point, you have so many stories to share and tell for your next role, your next job.
I think it's true. Because if you think about it, a lot of these people, without having something to guide them, they're probably going to bounce around. And I mean, it's good to try lots of different things, but if you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, whether it's a business or your career, it's good to work towards that and get experience. Like, really, one of the biggest gaps for a lot of people is when they want to get into a certain industry. And so, for example, I know someone who wants to get into the energy industry, the environmental energy industry. She doesn't have the experience, and they're probably not going to hire her, even though she's got a great product background. But what she can do is do some volunteering, and over time, she will build up knowledge and skills that become invaluable for her when she goes and applies for a job. So I think that makes sense. I think also the other thing is knowledge, skills, and connections. So I think if you're not getting knowledge, you're not getting skills, or you're not getting connections in your volunteering role, it's time to move on. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. After Fatima, it's always what I say, it's up to people.
Yeah.
There are some people, they volunteer for more than 20, 30 years, and perhaps they are not really interested at expanding their network because they volunteer always with the same people. They enjoy volunteering always with the same people. And I think it's great. It's their freedom to do it. What I want also to say to volunteers, we also, with Maite wrote it in the book, we said, it's also good sometimes to intentionally say, I want to volunteer with people I don't know at all.
Yeah.
In fact, because it's always very comfortable. If I volunteer with Maite, I am so happy to volunteer with her, to volunteer with you, Fatima. But it's good also to say, let's try to volunteer to be part of a new project with people I do not know, because it's a way to confronting new situations and to work with diverse people. In fact, because sometimes, for instance, for me at work, I'm very comfortable because I work with the same people for a long time, in fact. And also, I think volunteering also brings me the opportunity to meet quickly new people. And most of the time, I never meet them face to face. So quickly, you have to do something with someone you really don't really know very well, you don't really meet, but still you have to deliver. And because of this collaboration, the trust you are building, at the end, you are going to deliver a great project. So it really depends. The volunteering canvas, my volunteering canvas, as you said, is a way to get clarity on where you want to go. And it was also a way for me, for example, to know exactly when I have to say no to a volunteer opportunity. Because as I said, in the volunteering space, there are not a lot of people. So, and sometimes you do it well and people come to you, they see the passion. Can you help? Can you help? And I said, yes, 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 yes. And as I told you at the beginning, there are some volunteers I was not really interested in, but I said, why not doing it? Oh, I have to say also, because it was a big title.
Yeah.
It was like a project manager of a conference. I said, "Hey, why not? Why not?" But after, I didn't really enjoy it because of the organization it was done, because also some volunteers to work with, etc. And also, it's a thing, when you volunteer, you do not volunteer for the big title. You can do it, but you have to be passionate about it also, because as we said, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. And people, they are waiting for the results at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. I mean, it's okay sometimes if you pick a volunteering job because of the title, or, the volunteering is something that people do because obviously they have the desire or the passion or the time. And so they've got to get some benefit from doing it. You're doing it for a good cause usually, but you do get the benefit of the knowledge, the skills, the reputation, the connections, those things. So I think it's okay for volunteers to, receive some benefit. Otherwise, you know, no one would volunteer really if there wasn't some sort of even if the benefit is more friends or connections or any of those things. So I think that's all really positive. What's been the feedback you've gotten since you wrote the book? Because as I said, I hadn't come across something that talks about this subject in this much detail, and it's really well written. And you got lots of case studies in there, and a lot of people who have contributed, myself included, who have
Yes, thank you.
contributed to you support your chapter. So what's the biggest feedback you've been getting from the book?
Well, usually people are very happy, surprised by the topic, how it was. And thank you very much for your great feedback about the writing. It was a lot of work. It's
Mm,
also something I wasn't aware, we were not aware with Maite, that writing a book is a real project. And
yes.
as always, you have to know what quality you want to
Mm-hmm.
reach. And in our side, we work also very much in an agile way because
Mm-hmm.
the way we did it, we first did the table of contents and we shared with different colleagues and friends to get their feedback. After we decided, we divided the different chapters. And what is important and why I love working, collaborating with Maite is we both have a high critical mind.
Mm,
And this one, probably I have to say it's cultural also. In fact, probably French and Spanish, we have a lot of negative feedback. But in that case, it's very good because
mm-hmm.
I wrote something and Maite asked a lot of questions and I do not agree. And I did the same also
Mm,
with her. And after we have the book chapters read by beta readers, we call it beta readers, it means people who get feedback, etc. And after we had also an excellent copy editor helping in
mm,
reviewing. So it depends the quality you want to have. And you're right, we try to have diverse, really diverse people in terms of interviews, thought leaders like you. And because it was not so easy, and from different organizations, project organizations also, around the world. So it was a lot of work. And we also made
mm-hmm.
surveys to board members, surveys to volunteers, surveys to human resource managers to get real data and to have the book backed on research.
Mm,
In fact,
mm-hmm.
so it was really a lot of work. When I heard people saying, I've write a book, now I know how much time, dedication, and passion it needs to be written.
Mm. Well, thank you for writing it because, as I said, I think it's a really, really interesting book. The content of it is very practical. So I think people who maybe those that haven't volunteered or those that like us volunteer and probably could brush up on some of these insights, I think can really benefit from learning about it. As I said, I thought it was an interesting concept, which is why I wanted us to meet and have a chat today. I think you guys have done wonderful job in getting it to where it is. There's so much work that goes into this, and people, I think, underestimate it. And you're right, it's a true project. So you've now got a project, another project on your record of projects to add to because of the work that's gone in there. So thank you for doing that. We're nearly at the end of our time today. My last question for you, our closing tradition is to ask if there is anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners, a call to action, a piece of advice, or a question to ponder before we wrap up today.
Yes, I would say be involved in project management communities by volunteering, by helping. I think it's a wonderful place. You can meet really interesting people around the world, and you can learn a lot about yourself, and you can become a better project leader.
Mm. And where would be the best place for people to find volunteer opportunities? What was the best one or two places do you recommend?
For me, there is a PMO leader. So it's really a great community. There is also a conference to come every year. There is an annual conference, and you can help be part of the core team, also be a volunteer to be a speaker there. And there are a lot of project management organization, project management institute. There is also IPMA, and depending on the countries, it can be strong or not. So I'm sure near you have a volunteer community, project
Yes.
management community you can volunteer in.
Yeah, absolutely. So the PMO leader is the PMOleader.com. For anyone listening, we do have a conference coming up actually very soon. You're right, in October, and the volunteer and speaking opportunities are open. So thank you for sharing that. And I think, PMI is probably a really good place because they are the biggest project management organization. And so they have chapters in so many countries and they are run by volunteers. So PMI's website would be another good place as well. So I think
Agree.
that's really good advice. Well, Yasmina, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to people accessing your book. I'll make sure they connect with you. Where's the best place to find you? Is it LinkedIn or website? What would you
It's
like?
LinkedIn, and also Maite is very active on LinkedIn. So for both of us, you can connect with us on LinkedIn. And we have also a website for the book and my website, but LinkedIn is a primary source of contact for me.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Fatima. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please share this with someone or rate it if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and to stay up to date with all things Agile ideas, go to our website www.agilemanagementoffice.com. I hope you've been able to learn, feel, or be inspired today. Until next time, what's your Agile idea?